Hello, this is Diana Jarvis from the Young Reporter Scheme, and today I'm interviewing Emma Johnson, who did the scheme back in 2013. Hi, Emma, and welcome to the podcast. You did really well with Young Reporters. You not only completed it 2 years running, but you also won in the photograph category both years, which was a really great achievement. Was photography what drove you to do the scheme in the first place?
Weirdly, not at all. Photography was the least of my concerns when I started Young Reporter. From a young age, I've loved writing. So writing was genuinely what drove me to do Young Reporter.
So you say you were interested in writing from a young age. What did you write?
So from a young age, I was writing short stories in notebooks, not intending anyone to ever see them. So I would enter my poetry in competitions. So I'd edit the school magazine. So I think any form of writing I just loved.
So you did the school magazine?
So I edited my school magazine as well, yeah.
I noticed that when you went into university, you did some work with Podium Me, which I think was podcast. Is that right? Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, so I was with Podium.me from pretty much the beginning. So Podium.me, I thought it was an online platform for under 25, and we kind of focused on creating original content, collaborating remotely, which is a lot like life nowadays, and then kind of having podcasts up on the site, which was lovely. But when I started, I said it was very much still a startup. I think the founder, Camilla Bick, we were still working out of her kitchen.
Yeah.
So I thought it's amazing to see how far that platform has now come.
So how did it start? I mean, how did you meet up with her, or was it something you did at university?
So Camilla, I believe she did a talk at a local sixth form, which my friend went to, and my friend then told me, and she said, "You're going to love this. You need to get involved with this." So it was purely word of mouth. As I said, it was a very local thing. So Camilla lived in Clapham, I lived in Streatham. So it was very much a local community of journalists to begin with. And then as time went on, it kind of built up into a national community and an international community of journalists working remotely. It was lovely.
And it's still the same, still under 25, still doing this.
So it's still a platform for under 25. As time's gone on, the ideals surrounding Podium have sort of shifted a bit. So it's more of a mentorship program now, and it's more offering tips and guidance of how to get into podcasts and the radio industry, and pushing people to create their own original content rather than relying on someone to do it for you, which I think is brilliant.
Yes, it is. It's very interesting. You also did some work on the Daily Touch. Was that your university newspaper?
So yeah, the Daily Touch, it's almost like a BuzzFeed for universities. So it has a lot of listicles and articles surrounding university life. So that was, I think I only did that for a short period of time, but it was nice to kind of do something different.
Yes. And so when you left school, you went to university. So what did you study?
So at university, I studied comparative literature, which is sort of an offshoot of English, except it's a bit more global. So you're looking at different national contexts of literature, and you're kind of focusing on world literature almost. They're not the books that would be kind of bestsellers in Waterstones, but they're amazing books that are overlooked through no fault of their own, really.
Right.
I love that degree.
So when you, did you find that the Young Reporter helped you by, doing that scheme, helped you with university?
Definitely, I think. I think for me, Young Reporter was my first sort of foray into independent writing that wasn't for myself. So I said I think it was a really great opportunity.
Did you find it difficult?
I think it depends on your meaning of the word difficult, because although it was a massive commitment, if anything, it felt like a respite from the stress of my A-levels almost. I said it gave me something creative to focus on while still staying productive. I'm not sure how Young Reporter works now, but when I did Young Reporter, you had to do one article a month on your local area. I don't know if it's still the same.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah. So I think, if anything, that was where the challenge lay, in kind of having to find something new to say about your town every month. And I think some others were probably more difficult than others. And I think there were probably some articles that were less journalistically sound than others, if I'm honest.
Well, yes, but then you did 16, so you did well to have completed it.
Yeah.
2 years commitment is a lot.
It is. But I think, if anything, I loved that challenge of having to find something new to say every month. I think some months were easy, and I said, if you had a snowstorm going on, as we do now, I said, you'd have your story written for you. And as you said, I did well in the photo category because the picture tells 1,000 words.
So tell me a bit about what you're doing now.
So now it's a bit up in the air, obviously, with the dreaded C word. But at the moment, so I'm on furlough from my job as a theatre supervisor. I work in a West End theatre, and I'm currently working at a TV studio.
Oh, right. Whereabouts?
So I work at Riverside Studios. It's a combined art centre, basically, in Hammersmith. So it's got a theatre, a cinema, a TV studio, and kind of lots of mixed creative spaces.
And what do you do for them?
So again, like I did in the theatre, I work in venue operations, kind of supervising the venue, supervising the front of house team, sort of supervising box office, that kind of thing.
And so at the moment you're furloughed, but obviously when you go back, you'll be continuing with what you're doing now, presumably.
Yeah, so as I said, I'm furloughed from the theatre while theatres are shut, but I'm still working, thankfully, at Riverside. So I said we've been lucky in that we've been able to stay open for things like TV production because that's considered exempt from lockdown.
So if you go back to Young Reporter, what do you think your favourite part of it was?
I mean, I think my favourite part of the Young Reporter scheme was definitely the amount of creative control I had over my work, because from start to finish, that process was mine and mine alone, which I think is a really rare experience nowadays. I think whether you're doing internships or in the workplace, so often you're writing copy in a specific house style for a particular audience. For me, definitely the level of freedom and independence I had in building a story from the ground up was brilliant.
So do you think the scheme helped you in what you're doing now?
I think the scheme definitely helped me because in my free time, I still write. I think my day job is working in theatre and working in TV, but outside of that, I still write creatively. I have a book blog. I am publishing my own poetry at the moment. I said I also have a screenwriting project in the works. So I think Young Reporter really allowed me to kind of hone that creative potential and kind of gave me that confidence in my own work.
So you might have a bestseller on the market very shortly. It's nice giving up your time for us this afternoon. And, we wish you all the best in the future.
Oh, thank you.
This has been Diana Jarvis talking to Emma Johnson.